Beyond survival, the revolutionary power of choosing yourself. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you put yourself first? Not in a selfish way, but in a way that honors your spirit, your peace, your joy? For most of us, that question feels almost forbidden, especially for high achieving Black women who've spent decades in survival mode, leading teams, raising families, holding down households, carrying communities on their backs. I recently had the profound privilege of interviewing Tina Capler, whose revolutionary work has transformed how thousands of women understand the journey from merely surviving to genuinely thriving. Tina isn't just a thought leader, she's a healer, a truth teller, a boundary revolutionary who has helped countless women step out of the shadows of expectation into the light of self actualization. Her insights have quite literally saved lives as women who were drowning in the demands of others found their way back to themselves through her guidance. Think about it. We've all been taught that strength means pushing through, saying yes when we want to say no, wearing the invisible armor that keeps us safe but separated from our authentic selves. The cultural messaging is relentless. Strong women don't break, strong women don't rest, strong women carry it all without complaint. But what if everything we've been taught about strength is incomplete? Or worse, what if it's fundamentally wrong? What if true power lies not in how much we can endure, but in how deeply we can honor ourselves? This isn't just philosophical musing. The consequences of perpetual survival mode are devastatingly real. Chronic stress, autoimmune disorders, depression, disconnection from joy. The price of wearing that superwoman cape is literally killing us. And for what? A gold star that never comes? External validation that never quite fills the void? I remember sitting with Tina as she shared the story of a Black woman producer at ESPN who spent years suppressing her accent, her enthusiasm, her entire cultural identity to fit corporate norms. Every morning she had put on her professional mask along with her makeup. Every evening she had come home depleted, having left the best parts of herself at the door. I thought strength meant hiding who I really was, she told Tina. I thought success required becoming someone else. For years, this producer wore invisible armor, believing that strength meant hiding parts of herself. She built walls so high that even she couldn't remember what existed behind them. She perfected the art of code switching so thoroughly that her authentic voice began to feel foreign even to herself. In meetings, she would mentally rehearse every comment before speaking, filtering her brilliance through the lens of acceptability. The constant vigilance was exhausting, but she believed it was the price of admission to success. Then something shifted. A new manager arrived who valued authenticity over conformity, who saw her, really saw her, and created space for her full expression. This manager didn't just tolerate difference, she actively sought it out, recognizing that innovation happens at the edges, not in the comfortable center. Slowly, tentatively, the producer began showing up as herself, speaking in her natural cadence, pitching stories rooted in her unique perspective, bringing her full cultural context into the room. The first time she let her accent flow naturally in a high stakes meeting, her heart pounded so hard she thought everyone could hear it. But instead of rejection, she was met with engagement. Instead of dismissal, her idea sparked conversation. And you know what happened? Her well being improved dramatically. Her creative output soared. Those authentic stories she pitched, they became some of the network's most compelling content. Viewers responded to the truth in her voice, the specificity of her perspective, the courage of her authenticity. This transformation wasn't just personal, it rippled outward. Her colleagues began bringing more of themselves to work. The entire team's creative output elevated. The organization itself became more innovative, all because one woman chose herself, chose authenticity over armor, chose softness over survival. This isn't an isolated story. Pamela Buchanan's research on Black women entrepreneurs reveals a similar pattern. Facing systemic barriers, lack of funding access, wage disparities, discrimination in hiring and promotion, these women were forced out of conventional career pipelines. The statistics are staggering. Black women receive less than 0.2% of venture capital funding, despite being the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs. They're paid 63 cents for every dollar paid to white men. They're promoted at rates far below their counterparts. But instead of continuing to fight alone, these women built something revolutionary. Member owned businesses supported by mentorship networks that provided advocacy and resources unavailable elsewhere. They created what Buchanan calls ecosystems of mutual thriving, spaces where competition gave way to collaboration, where scarcity thinking was replaced by abundance mindsets. If you want to go far, go together became their mantra. Their collective action led not only to economic growth, but created inclusive environments where individuals thrived without needing approval from gatekeepers, where choosing themselves wasn't selfish, it was strategic, where softness wasn't weakness, it was the foundation for sustainable success. These women proved that resilience isn't about enduring hardship alone, it's about creating systems where everyone can flourish authentically. They demonstrated that the most powerful response to exclusion isn't just breaking through barriers, it's building entirely new structures without those barriers in the first place. And that's the heart of what Tina Capler's work reveals. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. It's the foundation for everything else. When you prioritize your own well being and peace, even when life, family, or work demands feel overwhelming, you're not being selfish. You're practicing self preservation. You're creating the conditions for authentic thriving. But here's what makes this so challenging. We've been conditioned to believe that our value lies in what we do for others, in how much we can carry, in how little we need. We've been taught that strength means never breaking, never bending, never showing vulnerability. Andrew Williams, whose work Tina often references, discovered this firsthand. As a Black professional navigating high stakes corporate environments, cultural expectations demanded unbreakable composure, a mask that stifled genuine connection. After years spent perfecting his armor, Williams realized this approach was holding him back, not propelling him forward in both career advancement and personal fulfillment. The very traits he thought were protecting him, stoicism, perfectionism, emotional restraint, were actually preventing him from forming authentic relationships, taking creative risks, and accessing his full leadership potential. So he made a radical choice: vulnerability. He began encouraging leaders and teams to honor their personal stories openly, to build community around shared humanity rather than perfectionism or relentless toughness. In workshops that initially made participants deeply uncomfortable, he would model this vulnerability by sharing his own struggles, his own fears, his own journey toward authenticity. The results were transformative. Leaders who embraced authenticity saw deeper relationships form within teams. Innovation flourished as people felt safe bringing forward ideas rooted in lived experience rather than simply performing roles expected by dominant culture norms. Retention improved, creativity soared, psychological safety, that critical foundation for high performing teams, deepened. His workshop sparked organizational change beyond individual success stories, reshaping definitions of power and leadership across industries. Companies that had previously valued only traditional markers of success began measuring psychological safety, authentic expression, and emotional intelligence as key performance indicators. This is what Tina Capler means when she says softness redefines strength. When you embrace vulnerability, emotional intelligence, and authentic connection, you're not becoming weaker. You're accessing a different kind of power. By letting go of the superwoman cape and allowing yourself to be softer, lighter, you unlock deeper creativity, resilience, and joy. But here's the truth that Tina's work illuminates so beautifully. Peace doesn't just happen, it's created intentionally, daily, through choices both small and significant. Setting boundaries without guilt, releasing expectations of others, cultivating practices that nourish your spirit. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities for living fully. I'm reminded of something Tina shared from her conversations with women in transition. The moment I realized I could say no without explanation was the moment I truly began to live. Think about that. How many times have you said yes when your soul was screaming no? How many commitments have you made at the expense of your peace? How many boundaries have you allowed to be crossed because you feared the consequences of standing firm? What would change if you gave yourself permission to choose differently? This isn't about abandoning responsibility, it's about redefining it to include responsibility to yourself. It's about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup, that your depletion serves no one, that your joy, your peace, your authentic expression is not just good for you, it's a gift to everyone around you. When you show up as your full, authentic self, you create permission for others to do the same. When you honor your boundaries, you teach others how to honor theirs. When you choose peace over performance, you demonstrate that another way is possible. This is the revolutionary power of choosing yourself. So today I challenge you, not tomorrow, not when things slow down, not when you've checked everything off your impossible list. But today, choose yourself. Start with one small act of self honoring. Say no to something that drains you. Say yes to something that fills you. Set one boundary that protects your peace. Release one expectation that no longer serves you. Because the revolution we need won't happen in boardrooms or policy meetings. It will happen in these quiet moments of choosing, when you decide that your worth isn't measured by your productivity, when you embrace the radical truth that you deserve peace, not because of what you've accomplished, but simply because you exist. The world doesn't need more exhausted martyrs. It needs whole, vibrant humans who have the courage to live authentically. It needs your voice, not filtered through expectations, but flowing from your truth. It needs your gifts, not diminished by depletion, but magnified by joy. So I'll ask you one final time, what would happen if you put yourself first? If you chose your peace over others' expectations? If you embraced your softness as strength? The answer might just change everything, not just for you, but for all of us. Because when you choose yourself, you change the world. One boundary, one breath, one brave act of self love at a time.